Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the North Affair podcast conversation without barriers. I'm your host, Doug from Ontario, Canada. I hope everybody's had a good weekend. Here we are, Sunday night. Oh, yeah, it's officially spring. Doesn't feel like it, though. The world on edge. I got to tell you, be straight up with you. I'm fucking pissed off. I really am. And you should be too. We go back 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20 weeks. Doesn't matter. Things were still a little rough, but prices start to come down. I guess that wasn't good enough for dickhead Trump. Because he lied to the American people anyways. Try to tell you that your prices were down, the gas prices were down. Well, they were down much more than what they were now. But I guess that wasn't good enough. The world on edge. How the Iran war is reshaping the global economy. And I'm pretty sure you're feeling that in your pocketbook right now, like everybody else is around the world, every country. When the first missiles struck Iranian targets, the world's attention focused on the immediate military consequences. But within hours, it became clear that the most far reaching impact would not be measured in territorial or troop movements. It would be measured in the movement of oil, the stability of supply chains, and the price of everyday goods. What began as a regional conflict has now become a global economic event, reshaping the cost of living for millions of people. The turning point came when Iran signaled that the Strait of Hormuz is no longer safe for commercial shipping. Nearly one-fifth of the world's oil normally passes through this narrow waterway, which is 20%. The executive director of the International Energy Agency has long described Hormuz as an artery with no substitute. When it constricts, the global economy reacts immediately. Tankers slowed or stopped. Insurance premiums surged. Shipping companies suspended operations. Oil markets responded with a sharp rise in prices, pushing crude above $110 a barrel within days. Fuel is the foundation of modern economic life. When its prices rises, the effects spread quickly and immediately. Diesel in particular plays a central role. It powers the trucks that deliver groceries, the ship that carries manufactured goods, the trains that move raw materials, and the machinery that drives agriculture and construction. The lead of the global commodity strategy at RBC Capital Markets notes that the risk premium associated with the Middle Eastern stability is now embedded in global fuel prices. Even if the conflict were to ease, she explains the uncertainty alone would keep prices elevated. The closure of the Hormuz has also disrupted the flow of natural gas and petrochemicals. These materials from the backbone of the country's industries, from plastics and electronics to fertilizer and pharmaceuticals. The energy historian has described Hormuz as the most critical choke point in the global energy system. With shipping routes compromised, the world has experienced a supply shock that extends far beyond oil. Manufacturers across Asia report shortages of key inputs. Semiconductor producers warn that specialty gases sourced from the Gulf are becoming harder to obtain. Shipping analysts at Lloyd's List say container traffic across the Indian Ocean has slowed significantly, with freight rates rising and delivery times lengthening. Researchers at the Oxford's School of Government describes the situation as a cascading disruption where delays in one sector quickly spills into another. Consumers like you and myself are already feeling the effects. Grocery chains warn of higher prices for staples such as bread, meat, and produce. Clothing retailers face increased costs due to rising shipping and material expenses. Electronic manufacturers anticipate delays and shortages. The cost of packaging from plastics to cardboard is rising. Transportation costs are rising. Refrigeration costs are rising. Director General of the World Trade Organization says the conflict is injecting vitality into every stage of the supply chain, from raw materials to retail shelves. The automotive sector is particularly exposed. Higher fuel prices discourage new vehicle purchases, increase shipping costs, raise sticker prices, raising material costs, steel, aluminum, plastics, squeeze the manufacturers. And if that ain't enough for you, and the goddamn tariffs that Trump has on Canada and other nations around the world isn't helping neither. Because you, the American people, are paying those tariffs. Higher interest rates make financing more expensive. Economic historian Adam Tooze knows that the auto industry depends on long, complex supply chains and energy intensive products, making it especially vulnerable to global shocks. Inflation, already a concern in many countries, is now accelerating. Energy inflation feeds into food inflation, which feeds into goods inflation. The managing director of the International Monetary Fund warns that the conflict is adding pressure to economies that were only beginning to stabilize after previous disruptions. Countries that rely heavily on imported fuel, Japan, South Korea, India, and much of Europe, face particular challenges, but every energy producing nations are affected as global prices influence domestic markets. Central banks now facing difficult decisions. Raising interest rates could help contain inflation but risk slowing economic growth. Holding rates steady could support growth but allow prices to rise further. Either path carries consequences for households and businesses. The longer this conflict continues, the greater the risk of a broader economic slowdown. The World Bank warns that a prolonged disruption of Hormuz could push multiple regions into recession simultaneously. Past oil shocks in 1973, 1979, and 1990 triggered global downturns. Today's economy is even more interconnected, with supply chains stretching across continents, and industries depend on uninterrupted flows of energy and materials. Behind the economic indicators are the lived experience of millions of people, families facing higher grocery bills. Small businesses struggle with rising operating costs. Farmers confront fertilizer shortages that threaten crop yields. Trucking companies, truck drivers pay more at the pump. Workers in manufacturing and logistics face uncertainty as production slows. Experts at the Food and Agriculture Organization warn that the fertilizer shortages could reduce harvests in developing nations, increasing food insecurity and raising global prices. The war in Iran is not just a geopolitical conflict, it's a global economic event reshaping markets, supply chains, and daily life. Fuel prices are rising, inflation is accelerating, shipping is disrupted, manufacturing is strained, and the world is entering a period of heightened uncertainty. The Strait of Hormuz may be thousands of kilometers away, but its closure is being felt in every home, every store, every factory, in every nation. This is the reality of a deeply interconnected world. And until the conflict ends and the strait reopens, the economic shockwaves will continue to move outward, touching lives far beyond the battlefields. If it isn't one thing, it's another. Grocery prices all are already high and are going to go much higher. I talked about this before on my show. The food prices here in Canada, family of four is going to pay more for groceries this year than they did the last fiscal year. From 16,500 for a family of four in the last fiscal year to this new fiscal year of 2026, 17,500. Now that's even going to go higher for a family of four. 2.17 million Canadians have used the food bank. That is going to even go further. It's going to put a really big strain on the food banks. They're not going to have much buying power. I told you. I told people before. I told people last year. I told the American peoples last year during your federal election that not only Donald Trump was dangerous for the United States, that Donald Trump was dangerous for the world. And I'm not fucking wrong. Sat around a few days because I work evenings. I'm thinking to myself, should I come out here and do this show? And I think I should. And not only because of what's happening on around the world now, is that if you didn't know, thank you for joining me. If you didn't know, Podbean will be ending the live stream starting May the 17th. No, May the 18th. So after that, all my shows will be all pre-recorded. But I like doing live shows. I like people coming out in the show, listening to me live. You know, right now my car sits most of the week. I drive it to work and I drive home. Trying to save on gas, cutting back on other expenses. You know, even, having a Sirius FM in my car, I'm canceling that too. Cutting back on all the things I don't need to pay for. And I was doing that before. I was doing that before even all this bullshit that Donald Trump has started. You know, last June, when the United States hit Iran, hit their nuclear facilities, Donald 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 Trump on national TV comes out. Oh, we obliterated their nuclear capabilities, set them back for decades. They don't even know their own narrative of this war. They have no fucking clue. One day say it's an imminent threat to the United States. One day say it's nuclear weapons. Oh, but I thought you obliterated all that. No, I guess you didn't. It's like Baby Bush when he was president of the United States, the Iraq War. Papa Bush first goes in there. And then Baby Bush gets elected. Oh, we got to go back in. They got nuclear weapons. Turns out they didn't. Then we get this dickhead, president of the United States. Doesn't have a clue what he's doing. He's the most incompetent person on this fucking planet. The most brain dead person on this planet. Doesn't have a clue. Doesn't even speak in coherent sentences. Doesn't even have a vocabulary. He tells you bullshit every single day. He says the other day that he's knocked out every defensive target in Iran. It's funny how they're still firing off missiles. Still firing missiles into other countries around Iran, into Israel. Launched a ballistic missile just the other day. Trump claims they have no capability of doing that. Things have been, tough for a lot of people before this war even started. Inflation was already on the rise. It was already tough for a lot of people to go to the grocery stores. Just to put food on the table. Now it's going to cost you more. How do you think your products get to the store? Transport trucks bring it, because transport trucks bring everything. Because once it comes from air and sea, it's got to go on a truck. It's got to go in the fuel tankers to put the fuel into the tanks in the ground so you can pump gas into your car. You can put diesel into your vehicles. Farmers can put diesel into their tractors, into their farming equipment. Spread the fertilizer. Plant the crops. From field to fork. Now we're all going to feel it. And we're going to feel it a lot more. And we're going to feel it for a long time. Even if the bombing stopped today. Just because those ships will be able to get through isn't going to change the price that you're going to be paying. This isn't about regime change. You kill one leader in Iran, they got another one who steps up. You kill a general, he's got another one who steps up. That regime is so embedded in Iran that you're not going to eliminate it. Donald Trump says he's not going to put boots on the ground. So why is he sending another 2,500 Marines? Another 3 more battleships? He's going to have a total of 5,000 Marines in the area. He's not going to put boots on the ground. Probably just another bullshit lie that he tells every day anyways. I don't think the American people or anybody thinks like, why the hell did he even bother doing this? Why did he start this? And like I said earlier, last June, when he hit Iran's nuclear facilities, he said he destroyed all his nuclear capabilities. But then they come back with another narrative saying there was an imminent threat to the United States. Even their head of security told him that was bullshit. He quits. So what is this really about? Is it about oil, regime change, nuclear weapons? Just, well, maybe Donald Trump didn't have anything better to do. He's too busy golfing every single weekend, got bored, got to start a war so he can tell more bullshit. It's bad enough, you've got tariffs on the EU, on Canada, other places around the world. China, doesn't matter. Tries to tell the American people that the countries that he put the tariffs on pays those tariffs, when we all know that is just bullshit. It's the United States importers that import the goods from the countries. They pay it and they pass it on to the American people. So the American people pay the tariff. It's a tax. I'm sure American people now understand that a tariff is a tax. Donald Trump claims this is his most favorite word in the dictionary. I don't even think he's ever opened up a dictionary. Cost of steel and aluminum, lumber, auto parts. That was already costing more with these tariffs. Now the shipping costs are going to go up because trucks and ships and planes, farming equipment, your cars, they don't run on water. They run on fuel. Because trucking companies, they add that fuel surcharge into their shipping costs. Trucking companies, independent truckers, they're not eating that fuel cost. They're passing it on to the consumers. Here in Ontario, gasoline, for regular gasoline, is over $6 a gallon. Donald Trump was asked, I don't know, last week or a couple of weeks ago, he was asked by a reporter, he says, when do you think the war will be over? And he says, I don't know. He says, it'll be over when I feel it in my bones. What kind of fucking answer is that? Then you have the United States government telling that the news media have to print what they tell you to print. You saw that Pete Hegseth, or whatever his fucking name is. He's up there in front of the podium and telling the press how the headlines should read. And then you have another guy telling the press, you better print it the way we tell you to do it. You're going to lose your operating license. That's pretty much imperialism, pretty much dictatorship. Now you got a dictator in the White House. Wannabe Hitler. Trump 2.0. calls Canada nasty. We're difficult to deal with. Worst country to deal with, he says. Hardest country to trade with. All I got to say to this dickhead is that, listen, pal, negotiated this trade deal back in 2019. Said it was the best deal ever. Negotiated the NAFTA, the North American Free Trade. Now it's the Canada, United States, Mexico agreement. Best deal ever, he says, back in 2019. Back before we had our election, Prime Minister Trudeau was Prime Minister of Canada, starts calling him governor. Starts saying Canada should be the 51st state. Fast forward to the election, Mark Carney, Prime Minister of Canada now, recently started calling him Governor of Canada. You know, Canadians are pissed off. You insult our Prime Minister. Think Canada should be the 51st state. And good luck with that. Call us nasty. Slap tariffs on us. Not just us. We have the trade negotiation deal coming up in July. Trump could walk away. Trade stays the same for the next 16 years. Or we negotiate a free trade agreement. You know, they think that Canada has to give up all the concessions. See, the United States negotiate a one-way street, right? They don't think it's a two-way street. It's their way or the highway. That's not negotiating. That's not how negotiating works. That's not how deals are made. A deal is a two-way street. The United States is telling Canada, you do it our way or the highway. Fine. I just tell Trump to fuck off. Oh, they go, oh, we have issues with Canada. We have a lot of issues with Canada, somehow. Somehow Canada is the problem in the trade negotiations. Say, listen, you know what? We didn't start the tariff war, and we didn't start this fucking war neither. You know, it just shows you how incapable fucking the United States really is. You know, they didn't think that the Strait of Hormuz was going to be a problem. I mean, I think that'd be the first thing that you try to secure before you do anything else. The countries in the European Union, you know, Trump calling on the allies to help open up the strait. France said no. Germany said no. Asian countries said no. Canada said no. Because we didn't start this fucking war. And then the allies come back and said, well, maybe we could help, but under conditions. The threat has to be gone. The bombing has to stop. Maybe we'll help open up the strait. He didn't even consult Congress. Didn't tell the world. We just woke up one morning and say, oh, the United States just bombed Iran. Oh, wonderful. Just great. He doesn't even get congressional approval. See, Trump doesn't do anything like that. See, he doesn't go to Congress to do anything, right? Because Republicans have the House and the Senate, so why does he need to go there anyways? He thinks they're just going to say yes anyways. And even if they said no, he would just, he would just go ahead and do it. He'll sign an executive order and away he goes. Just like he just signed all these executive orders on all these, on all the tariffs, which proved to be illegal. Now businesses in the United States wants their money back. See, Donald Trump just thinks he can just give the world whiplash and walk away. He runs police states throughout the United States with his ICE agents, killing American people. Now he wants to put ICE agents at the airports. Arrest people as they come in off the planes. I don't know. Is that dictatorship? It's the same as the Nazis rounding up the Jews during the Second World War. Anybody who doesn't look American, you better look out. And get arrested and be detained. If you got dark skin, you got brown skin, lightly tan skin, you're a target for the ICE agents. They even detain Canadians. Matter of fact, there's a mother and daughter in ICE jails in the United States. Canadian. And they're white. They're Caucasian. I haven't stepped foot in the United States in I don't know how many years. I don't care to. I don't live far from the border, a couple of hours. Tourism is being crushed in the United States. We're not talking millions of dollars. We're talking billions of dollars in loss in tourism in the United States. And who's causing most of that loss? Canadians. Why? Because we live next door to you. Ban on American alcohol. That's another sticky point for the United States government. It's a provincial ban, not a federal ban. It's a provincial ban. See, the trade between the United States is federal, not provincial. These are federal deals. Federal government doesn't tell the province what to do, and the province doesn't tell what the federal government to do. The media like YouTube and all these places, Canada, we protect our Canadian content. American negotiators seem to have a problem with that. Our supply chain. A couple months ago, Trump's telling the American people, "Oh, Canada has 400% tariffs on our dairy." No, we don't. There's a ceiling to reach before that even happens, and you're not even close to even doing that. That was part of the trade deal back in 2019. They want more access to our market. Well, okay. We'll give you more access to our market. Doesn't mean Canadians are going to buy it because, we're trying really hard not to buy anything from the United States that are on our store shelves. So we're not just boycotting alcohol, we're boycotting American dairy, American products in our grocery stores. Buying made in Canada. We're trying to be very careful about that. But you have to watch. Even the packaging. Where was it made? Contents in the package. Where did it come from? Is it actually Canadian? Is it American? Is it from Asian countries? But as things continue to rise in price, things are going to get a lot more expensive, from clothing to electronics to cars. Everything imaginable that we buy is going to cost more. And even after this is all said and done, do you think the prices are going to come down? Not going to come down right away. It's going to take a long time before that happens. So yeah, I'm pissed off. You should be too. I heard that there's going to be another big protest this coming weekend in the United States, all 50 states. It's supposed to be bigger than the one in September or October. Much larger. No kings. No kings protest. Coming to a state near you. And that's important. That's important to get out there and protest. Peacefully. You don't want to give the government a reason. You don't want to give Donald Trump a reason. Protest peacefully. Your midterm elections can't come fast enough. They're in November. This is only March. Fortunately, they couldn't be sooner. Because I'll tell you this much. Your midterm election, the Democrats are going to take the House and the Senate. Most definitely. Because the American people has had enough of Donald Trump's bullshit. And so is the rest of the world. Thank you for listening. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And like I said earlier, live stream. This is a business decision on Podbean's part. Hope they give me a discounted price because part of my pricing is for live stream. So May 18th, you'll no longer be able to create a live stream. And by June the 18th, it'll be effectively shut down. So I will only be able to do recorded shows. And the whole idea of doing a podcast is be able to do the podcast live. That's how I like doing my podcast. Having people like you, listeners around the world, come out here, listen to it live. Spend a lot of money on equipment, on microphones, interface. Teleprompter. all this money. I could do YouTube live. I could do that too. But we'll try to get as much as live shows as we can because this is only what is it? March the 22nd. So we got the rest of this month, all of April, and up to the 17th of May to do live shows. So I'll try to get in as many as I can from this time until I can't do a live show. Hope you can come out and join me. I appreciate you coming out and join me, listening to my show. It makes it, I think live shows make the show a lot better. I just feel more connected to you, the listeners, doing it live. So, anyways, thanks for joining me. This is the North of Fair podcast, Conversations Without Barriers. I'm your host, Doug from Ontario, Canada. Enjoy the rest of your night. Enjoy the rest of your week. Be safe. And thank you.